Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we are stripping back the mist of the Sichuan Basin to reveal one of the most baffling and magnificent archaeological mysteries on the planet. We are talking about the ancient Kingdom of Shu and the site known as Sanxingdui. For millennia, the traditional narrative of Chinese civilization was centered entirely on the Central Plains and the Yellow River, focusing on the Shang and Zhou dynasties. The southwest region, ringed by formidable mountains, was dismissed by ancient historians as a backwater of legends and barbarians. They were wrong. The Earth remembers what history forgets, and today we are going to look at how a ditch-digging peasant and a team of high-tech archaeologists uncovered a civilization of gold masks, bronze giants, and solar trees that rivals anything found in the ancient world. This is a story that spans from a chance discovery in 1929 all the way to the groundbreaking scientific analysis released in 2024 and 2025. Let us start with the timeline of discovery, because to understand the shock of Sanxingdui, you have to understand the silence that came before it. It began quietly in the spring of 1929. A farmer named Yan Daocheng was digging a ditch in Guanghan County when his shovel hit stone. He had found a pit containing over 400 jade artifacts. These were exquisite pieces, bidiscs and Kong tubes, but for decades, scholars treated this as an anomaly, a fluke in a barbarian land. The real earthquake in the archaeological world didn't happen until 1986. Workers at a local brickyard were excavating clay when they hit a layer of pounded earth. This wasn't just soil. They had stumbled upon two sacrificial pits, later named Pit Number 1 and Pit Number 2. These weren't trash heaps. They were time capsules of a ritual holocaust. Inside, there were no common cooking pots. Instead, there were thousands of items that had been deliberately broken, burned, and buried in an orderly fashion. This was the moment the world met the great standing figure, a bronze giant standing 2.6 meters tall, and the alien-looking masks with eyes protruding like telescope lenses. But the story didn't end in 1986. In a massive resurgence of interest, a new survey in 2019 identified 6 more pits, numbered 3 through 8, hidden right next to the original 2. These were excavated between 2020 and 2022, but unlike the frantic dig of the 80s, this was high-tech archaeology. Researchers worked in climate-controlled glass cabins, lying on suspension platforms so their bodies would never even touch the soil. The analysis of these new pits, fully publicized by 2024, has given us the missing links of the Shu civilization. So what was Sanxingdui? It was not just a ritual site, it was a sprawling metropolis. Recent mapping reveals a city covering 3.6 square kilometers, making it one of the largest cities in East Asia during the 2nd millennium BCE. It was a water city, rigorously planned along a northwest-southeast axis to align with the flow of the mountains and rivers. The city was bisected by the Mamu River, which Shu engineers incorporated into a complex water management system. Massive rammed earth walls, some 40 meters thick at the base, enclosed the city, serving as both defensive ramparts and flood control. Inside these walls, the city was divided into distinct districts. There was a palatial quarter for the elite, a sacrificial district for the gods, and crucially, a workshop district. In 2024, archaeologists announced the discovery of a jade and stone workshop located 1 kilometer north of the sacrificial pits. This was the smoking gun. For years, skeptics argued that the treasures of Sanxingdui must have been imported or looted because they were too advanced for the locals. The workshop proved them wrong. Archaeologists found raw jade ores, semi-finished blanks, and grinding tools. The artisans of Shu were masters of their craft, working in a dedicated industrial zone using rotary tools and sand to cut hard jade. While the elites were managing these workshops, the common people were fueling the state. Analysis of carbonized seeds and animal bones has reconstructed their diet. They practiced a unique mixed agriculture, cultivating rice in the wet lowlands and millet in the drier areas. They raised chickens and kept dogs, but pork was the primary protein. Pig mandibles found in the pits suggest that pigs were not just food, but a favorite sacrificial offering. The people lived in stilt houses, known as Ganlon style, perfectly adapted to the humid, river-rich environment. But let's move to the main event, the bronzes. The soul of Sanxingdui lies in its bronze work. Unlike the Shang dynasty in the Central Plains, whose bronze art was obsessed with vessels for wine and food, the Shu people used bronze to create idols. Their art was strictly spiritual. The most iconic artifacts are the masks. They range from palm-sized to the colossal King of Masks, which is over a meter wide. The most striking features are the eyes. They project outward like cylinders. Historical texts mention that Kangkong, the legendary first king of Shu, had protruding eyes. These masks likely represent this deified ancestor, a shaman king who could see beyond the visible world. The ears on these masks are often exaggerated and pointed, resembling wings. In a culture without writing, oral tradition and hearing the spirits would have been paramount. These masks represent a sensory hyper-awareness, a king who sees all and hears all. Then there is the great standing figure. Standing on a pedestal adorned with animal heads, this elongated figure wears 3 layers of robes, which are arguably the earliest depiction of a dragon robe in China. His oversized hands form a circular grip. Theories abound about what he once held. A scepter? An elephant tusk? Or perhaps, as some scholars suggest, he held nothing at all, his hands shaped to channel energy in a ritual gesture of void and power. The cosmology of Sanxingdui is best represented by the bronze trees. The largest stands nearly 4 meters tall. In ancient East Asian mythology, the universe was connected by a giant tree called the Fuzang, where the 10 suns, represented as birds, would roost. The Sanxingdui tree is a technical marvel. It has 9 branches curling downward, each tipped with a fruit wrapped in bronze leaves. Perched on each fruit is a divine bird. A dragon slithers down the trunk, connecting the heavens to the underworld. This is physical proof that the Shu people shared the solar mythologies of the Central Plains, but expressed them with a grandeur that the Shang never attempted in bronze. The new excavations from 2020 to 2025 have added even more strange forms to this bestiary. Pit number 8 was described as a zoo of mythical creatures. They found a pig-nosed dragon, a whimsical creature combining a pig's snout, a dragon's body, and horns. They also found a green bronze beast, a small, muscular, 4-legged creature that looks uncannily like a modern cartoon character design, supporting a kneeling human figure. Perhaps the most complex conceptual artifact found recently is the Altar of Heaven and Earth. It depicts a tripartite world with a base representing the earth, a central realm of ritualists, and a heavenly lair. Bronze figures are shown carrying the altar, emphasizing the role of humans in supporting the cosmic order. Another major breakthrough from the recent excavations involves silk. For decades, silk was assumed but not proven. However, in a report detailed in 2024, scientists confirmed they detected silk fibroin proteins in the soil of the pits. They found that the bronzes had not just been buried, they had been dressed. Grid-like bronze wares were wrapped in silk, and jade was swathed in fabric before burning. This confirms that silk was a ritual medium, a bridge between the material and spiritual worlds. The Shu people were clothing their gods before destroying them. We also need to talk about gold. Gold was rare in the Shang dynasty's Yellow River heartland, but at Sanxingdui, it flows freely. This hints at a connection to a different cultural sphere, perhaps the steppes of the Northwest. The new pits yielded fragments of a gold mask that, if complete, would be larger than the mask of Tutankhamun, although much thinner. These were not death masks for humans, but skin for the bronze heads. The artisans hammered gold into thin sheets and molded them over the bronze faces. There is also the golden scepter, a gold-wrapped wooden staff depicting fish, birds, and arrows. This iconography is believed to be a rebus for the name of a king or a dynasty, possibly the fish cormorant lineage of Shu kings. It serves as an emblem of power and a form of proto-writing. But around 1100 to 1000 BCE, this magnificent civilization came to a violent end. The lights went out at Sanxingdui. The city wasn't slowly abandoned. It ended with a bang. The sacrificial pits are evidence of a ritual termination. The massive bronzes were smashed, some showing signs of blunt force trauma. Elephant tusks were piled in, and the entire pit was set ablaze before being buried. This mirrors the Liao sacrifice mentioned in later texts, a burnt offering to heaven. Why did they destroy their own gods? There are three main theories. The first is internal strife, a war of the temples. Some archaeologists propose a conflict between theocratic factions, perhaps the mask worshippers versus the bird worshippers. The destruction might have been an act of iconoclasm by a new ruling group. The second theory is geological. A massive earthquake in the Longmingshan fault zone, the same fault responsible for the 2008 Wenchuan quake, may have triggered landslides that dammed the Min River. This would have cut off Sanxingdui's water supply, or rerouted the river completely, making the city uninhabitable. The third theory is external conquest, coinciding with the transition from the Shang to the Zhou dynasty. While there is no direct evidence of a Zhou invasion, geopolitical shifts might have destabilized the Shu trade networks. Whatever the cause, the population didn't vanish. They moved. 50 kilometers away, in modern-day Chengdu, the Jinsha site rose as Sanxingdui fell. Discovered in 2001, Jinsha is the spiritual successor. The bronzes there are smaller, perhaps indicating a loss of resources, but the iconography is identical. The famous sun and immortal birds gold ornament found at Jinsha is the ultimate refinement of the Sanxingdui solar cosmology. The discovery of Sanxingdui has done more than fill a museum. It has decentralized the history of China. It proves that Chinese civilization was not a single melody played on the Yellow River, but a symphony of distinct voices, a pluralistic unity. The Shu people left no texts. We do not know the sound of their language or the names of their gods. But in the staring eyes of the bronze masks, we see a civilization that looked deeply into the mysteries of the cosmos. As we look at these artifacts today, we are completing a ritual started 3,000 years ago. They created these faces to be seen, if not by their gods, then by the future. The lost kingdom is lost no more. Thank you for listening to this episode of G Fun Facts Online.